Your rainy day fund could fall short of its needs, and I'm wondering what sorts of measures are going to be needed, even coming out of this. There've been long complaints about the tax rates in Connecticut, whatnot, but I imagine you're going to need revenue. What's the state going to have to do, not just immediately, but over the next few years to stabilize things coming out of this?
Yeah, and to just be clear, with respect to the rainy day fund, we're at levels where we don't anticipate that being depleted anytime in the near future. With that said, as treasurer, I want to protect and preserve that. And the state will have to take additional measures with respect to reducing expenditures, with respect to looking at additional revenue sources, which are constantly under consideration. But those steps are currently being considered by the governor, and our legislature will be going into a special session sometime later this year to take up those efforts. But they are underway, and different options are being considered.
Tell me about what you see in how different communities in Connecticut are being affected at this difficult time. Are there some communities that are affected more than others economically? We know that has tended to be the case from a medical and health perspective.
Sure, absolutely. This COVID-19 pandemic just underscores the disparate impact that is present in our society long before the pandemic. So you see it with Black and brown communities being infected at higher rates, being hospitalized at higher rates, dying at higher rates. So we have absolutely seen that in Connecticut, and we've tried lots of efforts, including improved testing, outreach efforts. I've went to the community in which I grew up, predominantly Black community in the north end of Hartford, Connecticut, and publicly got tested just to encourage greater testing. And so all of these metrics we're seeing the impact not only in Connecticut, but nationally on frontline essential workers. And this is, I think this pandemic will underscore kind of the value of frontline essential workers in a way that we haven't appreciated overall as a society. And so that's where we are now.
I'm curious, you mentioned the credit markets willingness to help some of these states, as you said, with the extremely low cost of funds. How long do you see that lasting, and does the overall level of debt concern you in any way, even if it may be at interest rates that we couldn't have dreamed about a couple of years ago?
So debt is always a concern, but right now the mission, I applaud the efforts of the Federal Reserve coming in. This health crisis created an economic crisis, which created a financial markets crisis, and the markets were stabilized to some extent. There's ongoing increased volatility, of course, but by the support by the Federal Reserve. I expect that long-term, the debt levels, they are not sustainable. Anyone paying attention to this know that. But we're in the midst of a significant crisis, and in order to preserve life, preserve our economy for a return at some point, these measures are certainly necessary. And so right now it's about survival, and as we start to reopen, it's about how we recover and build a stronger economy.